welcome back to the channel. Austin and I have been visiting his parents and we're now on the way home, and I thought this would be a good time to do a driving in the South and chat with you. Austin does not know the topic.
I don't. I'm a little scared and a little nervous.
He does not know the topic of today's driving in the South, but he is going to find out right now. So today's topic of driving in the South is what it's like to marry a twin.
Oh. All right.
A lot of people on the channel, a lot of you have asked, what's it going to be like for me and Katie, and Austin too, but once I'm married and I'm not living with Katie anymore, what that's going to be like. And I thought it would be good to do a video and talk about it and get Austin's perspective on that. That's kind of something I take for granted because I'm, of course, very used to being a twin, and I don't think of it as any different. And of course, Katie and I are very close, but for people who are not twins, and for Austin marrying a twin, I know that that's really different. And we've talked about it some, of course, over the last couple of years since we've known each other, but I thought it would be cool to talk about it.
Sure, let's do it.
So Katie and I, as you probably know if you've been on the channel for any length of time, we're very, very close to each other. We're only siblings. There's only two of us. I might have told this story on the channel before. I can't really remember, but I'll tell it now because it is very pertinent to this video. So Mom and Dad didn't think that they would be able to have kids. Mom had some problems in the past, but they really didn't have any trouble conceiving, and then they were very shocked to find out that they were having twins. So they did not know that at first, of course, but she was really sick, like morning sickness, but a lot worse kind of in the beginning. When they did go to the doctor and they definitely confirmed she was pregnant, they kind of said, well, since you're feeling really sick, you really shouldn't kind of be maybe as big as you are already and be feeling that sick if you say like you're only as pregnant as you say you are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're saying, oh, I think I'm only 6 weeks, then you seem more than that, let's just check. And then that's when they figured out they were having twins. And the ultrasound tech, she's not supposed to say anything. It's supposed to be the doctor, but all she said was, she just pointed to the screen and said, well, all I'm going to say is if that is a baby, then what is this? And Mom and Dad did not really understand what she was trying to say. And then finally they got it and they were like, you're trying to tell us there's 2 babies in there? And, she kind of, I guess, in as not so many words said, yeah. And then Mom said that Dad started pointing all over the screen to other things, like, what are these? Are there more than 2 babies? So, of course, they could not really reenact the shock of that. Again, once the doctor came in and the doctor was kind of like, did she tell you? And they laughed about it. So they were very surprised to find out that they were having twins. And after that, it's not that they didn't want to have any more kids, but I think just because Mom did have like kind of a really hard time, really hard pregnancy, she almost lost us. She was really sick the whole time, got put on bed rest at like 4 months on. They were concerned about that, but Mom always says mostly that it's because she couldn't imagine loving any babies anymore than she loved us, which I think is really sweet. Mom would joke and say either as kids we were either like punching each other in the face fighting, or we were so kind of hanging on each other, telling each other we loved each other, that we just got on her ever-loving last nerve. As you probably can imagine that, Austin. So we were very close growing up, and we still are. We shared, I always like to say we shared a womb and a room. We had bunk beds until we were like 16. And when we were little, we always wanted to have separate rooms, and there was a guest bedroom with a bed in it. And so Mom would say, sure, that's fine. Just whichever one of you who wants to stay in there for one night, and prove to me before you move all your stuff in there that you can stay in there by yourself. And we never could. So we didn't get our own rooms until we were maybe 16. But we've just always been, honestly, each other's best friends. And we didn't really have that many friends growing up, to be honest. I mean, we had some, but just because of what we were interested in, we just didn't really fit in with that many people. But we always had each other, and Mom always told us that was why she thought, God blessed her with twins, is so that we could always have each other no matter what. I don't really know that many other twins. There was a set of boys who were much younger than us in school coming up, and I'm trying to think like of anyone else. We have a set of twin cousins, again much younger than us, kind of distantly related. but I don't know that many other twins, and for us it's just completely normal. But I know for other people it's different. People get us mixed up a lot, and very often people will come up to me. That happened to me actually a couple weeks ago, and start talking to me about something, and then I'll just have to say, I am so sorry, but I think you must have been talking to my sister. That does not ring a bell to me at all. Or someone will come up and be like, oh, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm great, how are you? And after that I'll be thinking, I have no idea who that was. I don't know, never seen that person in my life, and if Katie's not with me, I'll have to explain to her later, and she'll be like, oh yeah, that's so and so. So that's always funny too. A few times I've seen other twins and been shocked at how much they look alike, and I know that sounds silly. At the place I used to work, there was these little babies they brought in one time. I can't remember, they were related to someone who worked there, and they were in their little car seats, and the first thing I did when I walked up to them is I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much alike they look. And the girl that worked there with me kind of laughed and said, why are you saying that? You shouldn't be surprised by that because you're a twin. And I thought, well yeah, I mean that's a good point, but for me I never think about that, what it must be like for other people. What it must be like for other people like Austin, who is marrying a twin. I want to ask Austin how he feels about that, but first, one thing I'll say about it is that
Guys, help me.
he has always been so understanding of the bond that Katie and I share from the very beginning. I will say, Katie and I both dated lots of people in the past who just did not understand it at all, who would be like very kind of inferior, or be very like, why does your sister always have to be there, and why do you have to tell your sister everything? Like, they just did not get it and did not like it, and were totally kind of jerks about it, honestly. And it really is like, if you get one of us in one way, you really are getting both of us, because we're that close. And hopefully if you're marrying someone, you know, you want to marry them too because you love their family, no matter what, twins or not. You're going to marry someone, and you're not only getting them, but you're gaining a family, which is a really beautiful thing. But Austin has been so understanding of that bond from day one. He's never like made me feel stupid or bad, or like, why is Katie here? I mean, he understands. He loves Katie, I think, as much as he loves me, of course in a different way, but he understands the bond, and that means the world to me, because so many people don't. And for us being twins, like, that also is kind of a deal breaker for a relationship, with the music and that being our job and all of that. It was so important to me. Like, that was always on my like checklist for someone I was, you know, gonna date. Like, well, they have to accept that I'm a twin, and that she may be there a lot, and that we're really close. Now it's time to get the real story on what it's like to be marrying a twin. So what did you first think, you know, when I told you? I don't even remember how I told you I was a twin. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, I guess because we did meet online, I guess maybe when we were just texting or talking over the phone, asking about family. But what was your like initial thought process when I told you I was a twin?
You know, I didn't really think anything good or bad about it. Just, oh, that's interesting, you know? I'm trying to think. I don't really know that I've known, at least personally, any other twins besides y'all, you know? So it was just kind of something that was interesting, you know, like I was, you know, obviously we were just starting out. I want to learn as much as I can anyways, but I was very interested to meet Katie, just for the simple fact of saying, okay, really, how similar are they going to be? So it was very interesting from that perspective to see, you know, y'all have quite a lot of the same interest, obviously, but obviously y'all are very similar, but also very different in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was, you know, I was kind of surprised at just how different y'all were. You know, you are very, you know, kind of a little bit more reserved, soft-spoken, whereas Katie complete opposite of that.
No,
As
she's...
everybody here already knows.
Yes, she's very outgoing.
Yes.
Very kind of say what comes to mind, fly by the seat of her pants kind of person. And I'm truly not. I'm more reserved. I like to listen more than I do talk. And I think that's why we complement each other so well, though. I mean, we go good together because we're both different in that sense.
That's true. And, you know, even though me and my brother are 5 years apart, obviously not twins, we are kind of that way too. I'm the more quiet, reserved one as well, and he is life at the party always.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that still kind of holds up with twins as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, that was going to be the next question that I asked. Was it weird? Did you feel like you were basically meeting another copy of me, like at first, just based on just looks?
No, I mean, I see why people think that sometimes, because obviously you guys look very similar, but at the same time, like, I could immediately tell you two apart without much of a problem. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, you know, the old cliche, which one's which? You know,
yeah.
At least for me personally, I haven't had that problem. It's funny to see, you know, we'll be out and people won't recognize which one of you it is. I'm like, really? You can't tell?
Yeah.
And, you know, especially, you know, it could even be people that you guys have known for a long time that can't tell you guys apart. But
yeah,
for whatever reason, I was able to tell pretty quickly, you know, which of you was which without too much of an issue. So
that's always been funny to me too. I think that we looked a lot more alike when we were younger, but now I think as we've gotten older, we look less and less alike. I mean, we're still twins, so we definitely still look alike, but I don't think as much as we used to. And it is usually the people, I swear, it's weird, but if you're a twin and you're watching this video, drop a comment. Like, let me know about anything you think. I want to get another twin's perspective, and I want to get everyone's perspective, other people who's not a twin, of course. But it usually has been the people who have known us for years that can't tell us apart, and then the people who meet us and in the first 30 minutes are like, you're nothing alike. I can easily tell who's who. And I never understand how that works.
I don't get that either exactly, but
it happens.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, it's strange. And even now, even just being gone like a day and a half, I miss her like crazy. It just feels like part of me, when we're not together, part of me's missing. And we'll always talk on the phone, and sometimes we'll call each other and we'll be busy, but then we'll stay on the phone for like 30 minutes, and maybe 20 minutes of that, Austin can totally confirm this.
Maybe, I already know what she's going to say.
Yes, maybe 20 minutes of it, we won't even really be talking that much, but it's like we just want...
You'll both be having your own conversations apart from each other, but still be on the phone with each other.
And I know that that's really annoying and like not a good habit, but I think it's just because it still makes us feel close. Like I still feel like she's there with me even when she's not.
No, I get it.
We're each other's sounding board because we've always been with each other, especially in school, because she was more outgoing than I am. She was like my security blanket, and she still is. If we're going somewhere and I'm nervous, like, she's my security blanket. I feel like she can do the talking, she can kind of take charge, and I would just sit back and let her kind of do whatever we're doing, and that'll be really different. That's probably been one of the biggest things about Austin and I's relationship. I mean, getting married and all of that is it's different. I don't have that kind of person to sort of hide behind anymore. And obviously I'm still going to see Katie. It's not that I'm not ever going to see her again, but it just won't be the same as living in the same house where I see her every day, and if she's cooking breakfast, would you want some of this? Or if I'm cooking, would you want some of this?
Yeah.
It won't be like that anymore, which is kind of sad. But it's good because I love Austin more than life itself, and we're really excited and really grateful to be getting married.
It's kind of funny now, like, at this point, I don't really even, obviously I know you're twins, but I don't even think about you guys as twins anymore. It's like, that's her sister, you know?
Right.
I don't think about it as like, oh, they're twins, you know, anything like that. It's just like, oh, here comes Katie.
Right.
You know? Right. She looks kind of similar. That's about it, you know?
Right.
It's not like something that I'm conscious of all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, at first, I was like, you know, it took a little bit of getting used to, obviously.
Yeah.
But now it's like, not even something that I think about anymore.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you two don't really think about it unless people comment on it. And
No.
I'm sure your mom and dad is just like, oh, it's our daughters. You
Right.
know, they're not thinking, oh, these are my twin daughters all the
Right.
time. It's just, that's my daughter.
Right.
You know?
When we were kids, Mom said that most of the time we loved being a twin, but that she would kind of have to explain it to us because people would be like,
Right.
are you twins? And we would be like, yeah, and we're sisters too.
Yeah.
We didn't really understand what it meant to be a twin.
Right.
That we just, I mean, that's just all we knew, so I didn't understand, what do you mean the concept of being a twin? She's just my sister.
Right.
It took a little bit of kind of, I think, explaining that for us to understand, and for us to understand that that is special. I mean,
Yes.
it's special to be a twin and to be this close. I know some, or have heard of some twins who say they can't stand each other, which is really, really sad.
That would just seem weird. I
Yeah.
don't see how that could be.
I mean, I do understand
Unless
in one
they're
way.
too much alike.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I do understand. I mean, if you spend like 100% of your time with someone, like forever, you know, that might be too much.
Yeah.
But for us, I mean, we love each other. We could be with each other 24/7 all the time. Now, that's not to say that we don't still, you know, get in arguments like everyone. But usually, an hour later, we're like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like it never happened, you know.
Yep. Get my good side.
So what did your family think initially when you said, I've met someone and she's a twin? What did they think?
They initially thought, is the one you're gonna date the weird one? No, I'm just kidding. No, they thought it was interesting. You know, they kind of had the same thoughts I did in terms of like, oh, you know, how similar personality-wise are they gonna be?
Yeah.
Because obviously they look alike, but you know, will they kind of be the same personality-wise? So they were kind of, you know, obviously they met you well before they met Katie, but you know, once they met Katie, they're like, oh, they're not the same at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, I told you. But they thought it was very interesting as well.
I was kind of surprised by their reaction, that they were kind of immediately like, oh my gosh, you guys are so different. And
Yeah.
for them, they had known me for a year or more before they met
knew you
her.
for a while before they
Yeah.
ever actually met her. So
A long
they
time.
kind of really got to know you pretty good before that. So,
Yeah.
So they probably were able to see the difference more immediately than even I was.
Right. Yeah, I never thought about it really like that. I mean, if you meet us together, it would be kind of more...
You got to figure both of you out first, but they already knew you. So,
Yeah.
So they kind of already had that perspective to kind of base what Katie was like off of that.
Right, exactly. They kind of already had me as a comparison, and so it was easier to
Right.
see the difference versus meeting us both at the same time.
Yep. And they said, Katie is never welcome back in this house again. No, obviously a joke.
Are you nervous about marrying a twin? Do you, I mean, have any thoughts or worries about what it'll be like?
Nah, no worries at all. You know, like you said, I kind of have known the deal the whole time, you know. And, you know, I think it's kind of to be expected. That's funny, they decorated that tree on the side of the road.
Oh, that's cool.
But anyways, back to what I was saying. I think it's to be expected really with anybody's family, whether you're a twin or not. You know, their siblings are going to be around. Their family's going to want to be around them, obviously. Anybody's family would, I would hope, anyways. So, I think that's to be expected anyways. And, you know, it's not, I don't view it really as much different than, you know, say Katie was 5 years younger than you. I'd still expect her to be around just as much anyways, you
Right.
know. So I'm not nervous at all. I mean, it's kind of like you said earlier, you just gain more family. So
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good thing.
And you're such a sweetheart. I mean, being a twin, and I'm sure it's like this also, though, for other siblings, but even Katie and I, it was kind of important for us to have each other's approval, you know, for who we were dating. So I wanted, of course, you want your parents and your family, whoever, to approve of who you're dating, especially if you really love them, but I wanted Katie's approval too, and I was really excited for her to get to meet Austin in the very beginning. And she loves him honestly as much as I do, in a different way, of course. But when he's not been around a while, if he's been hunting or traveling for work or anything, she'll be like, "Where's Austin? We call Austin Willard, so we're like,
that's a whole different story.
Yes, that's a whole different story. But she'll be like, "Where's Willard? I miss him." And when he, comes back, she is just as happy to see him, and Mom and Dad for that matter too, as I am. Do you ever feel like we have our own language and are laughing or communicating about something?
Well, yeah, listen, that's a definite thing that I can confirm, is that it's there's these weird moments where you guys call it like twin powers. But it's true. Like, you'll say something like, I wonder what Katie's doing right now, and then Katie calls right then or something, or vice versa. And that happens like a lot, actually, where you'll be thinking of something, and then Katie will say something about what you were thinking about, or any number of things like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird how that happens. So the twin powers are definitely a real thing. I can confirm for the world.
Yeah, Mom said that even when we were kids, that we used to before we could really talk and say words, you just say gibberish like babies do. She said we used to have our own language, and that we would say something about the maymates and baymates. Have I ever told you that?
I don't know.
She said we would both say maymates and baymates and look at each other and just hysterically laugh. She said we kind of had our own language and our own talk. That reminds me of a video. Oh my gosh, it's been years ago, but I remember seeing this video, and some of you may remember this too, so comment below if you do. Just remember seeing this video of these two little babies. They were twins. They were in diapers. I can't remember if they were boys or girls. And they were like in a kitchen somewhere, and they were both pointing and laughing, and one of them maybe had one sock on, and the other one didn't have a sock on. They were pointing at that and laughing, and it was like they had their whole own conversation. They would just kind of jibber jabber, point and laugh, and you could tell they really knew what each other were saying.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me feel like that's how me and Katie were as babies. And even now, I mean, and all throughout growing up, I mean, we can just look at each other honestly and have a whole conversation in our head.
Yep.
I mean, and for me that feels normal, but I'm sure for other people, and especially for Austin, that's kind of strange.
A little bit. I will say that's one strange thing about it, is it seriously seems like you guys know what the other's thinking at any given time.
Yeah.
So that part is just a little bit odd at times, but that's really the only thing like that I would say.
Yeah.
I will say too, another thing is that when it comes to music, you guys really are always seem to be in tune with each other in terms of where you're going in a song, or you guys can just have a look and you'll know what the other one's wanting you to do. It's kind of that's another thing that you guys have, is you guys, when you're playing, you know exactly what the other needs, or so I don't know how to say it correctly, but
I know what you're saying.
You guys play off of each other really well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Which I'm sure everybody who watches your guys' videos can tell.
Well, and I think that goes back to our personality types. I mean, I really do think God blessed us with each other. I mean, we've been each other's shoulder to cry on, and best friends forever. Honestly and truthfully, 100% truth be told. I mean, anyone who's been to a show or been on the channel for any length of time, they know that we kind of have banter back and forth, and that's kind of part of the show. And a lot of people will come up after a show and they always say oh my gosh, I love your banter back and forth, that makes the show. And I promise I can 100% say we do not plan any of that out. I don't plan any jokes. Maybe it would be better if we did, but we don't. And Katie just has such a fun and funny and loving and quick-witted kind of personality that all of that is real, and it happens right there on the stage. And a lot of the time she gets me by surprise and makes me laugh. None of that is planned. It just is kind of how our personalities are, and we're like that at home. I mean, we're always kind of goofing, and she has that outgoing, kind of more direct kind of lead kind of personality, and I don't. And I think that's a good thing. It just makes us blend well together.
Absolutely. You know, you've got personality traits she doesn't. She has those that you don't. So you guys put together, you make a perfect team, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's starting to actually get a little dark here, and it's raining, so we'll go ahead and end this video before it gets any darker, or else you'll just be listening to us talk in the dark.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Drop us some comments below and let us know what you think, what your perspective is, if you're a twin, if you have twins. Sometimes people comment and say that they have twins, and I think that that's really cool. Let us know anything like that, but thank you for watching. God bless you guys, and we'll catch you
Never mind my deer hunting gut.
Yeah. You ain't got no gut, baby.
That's all the Christmas tree cakes catching up to me right there.
We will catch you guys at the next video.
See you guys.
This is what it's like to film a video with me.
You're fun.
I want water. I want a water, Frank. I need it for your coffee.
You guys were losers.
No, I need water.
Yeah, I say were. Or
Still
like
are
losers.
Yes. I can't think of the thing that you call what you put babies in. Like,
Stroller.
well, not a stroller. It's not a bassinet, but it's just like the thing that goes in a car.
Car seat.
Car seat, yeah. Pick up my next thought.
Beauty of editing.
Very true. Let's see.
It's like weirdly smoky or foggy right now.
I know, and I guess with the rain. Crap, what was I saying? I forgot.
What are the questions? It looks so weird with all the leaves off.
I know. Starting to look all naked.
I know.
I don't like it.